Well, let's move into the second hour conversation in our In the Cubicle conversation. That's the thing. You have to balance the equations in these days of technology in the workplace. Ever wish you could bottle up decades of wisdom and keep up with the latest TikTok trends in one workplace? Well, those are the benefits and the magic of what we call cross-generational mentoring, when baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and Gen Zs team up. Amazing things can happen. But how do you create a conducive environment for that? Because many generations think that they have the better option or the better solution in workplaces. Well, Divine Nyamulamba is joining us on the line, Stakeholder and Engagement Associate at the Amazon Leadership Initiative. Hey, Divine, thank you for joining us here on Channel Africa.
Thank you for having me. Good morning to you.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Amazon Leadership Initiative. What do you guys do actually?
So we are a women-led, youth-led, nonprofit organization that focuses on empowering young women and girls between the ages of 14 to 29. Currently, our age range is pending for increase. So we actually want to increase it to 35, but that is still in the process. However, how we empower young people, young women more precisely, is through leadership capacity, through mentorship, enabling them to actually be part of supportive networks where they can learn from one another and learn from women who are older than them, so the older generation, who are experts in their respective fields. And we do that through various programs. So we have our program that touches a lot on this cross-generational mentorship that you just spoke about right now. We also have our Women in Political Participation program, and we have our flagship program, which is our annual leadership forum for young female leaders. That is what we're really, really known for, our main signature. And this year's forum is actually taking place on the 27th in November, and it's happening in Abuja, Nigeria. And more details are to come as we discuss about it further on.
Lovely. Divine, as you said, a lot of people expect mentorship to come from the top coming down. So older people, those who've been in the organization for longer, and those are the people that are usually expected to mentor those who come into the organization or are much younger within that place of work. But things are changing. Let's speak about what this cross-generational mentorship is and how we can define it, but also how it's changed the place of work in many organizations.
So when you look at cross-generational exchange, I like to picture it as a transaction, right? It's an intentional exchange. It can be an intentional exchange of ideas, of knowledge, of lived experiences between people of different age groups. And why that's important for our social and professional spaces is because whether we like it or not, we'll always be exposed to diversity. As was mentioned in the intro, we have baby boomers, Generation X, Millennials, Generation Z. And what cross-generational mentorship actually allows is it creates this bridge between tradition and transformation, where we have an opportunity to preserve wisdom from the older generation while infusing the innovation at the same time. So really cross-generational mentorship is not just a top-down approach, but I like to see it as a horizontal line where there's mutual learning from point A to point B. And it does not always have to be from point A to point B. It can also be from point B to point A.
Yeah, Divine, one generation to another, they can be very kind of, I don't know, create friction towards each other, because the older generation could say, hey, I'm a baby boomer. We know this. We've created the systems. We've actually got this whole enterprise structured. And the younger ones like, but no, we need to incorporate new technologies. This is the better way to go. And at times it seems like it can be a combative relationship. How do you diffuse that and create a more kind of collaborative effort?
Right. So you actually have to leverage from each other's strengths. So with the older generation, they have the opportunity to grace the younger generation with institutional memory. And what I mean by that is the older generation understand the ins and outs of the spaces where the young generation want to take over, want to occupy. So them understanding how to navigate certain systems and structures that have been there way longer than we have even been born is an advantage to us because they are passing on the key to unlock certain doors that have been existing for a very long time. But the younger generation also has something to offer and put on the table because we can bring our creativity, we can bring our uniqueness to challenge outdated norms. And how we do that is we use it by we use modern tools to kind of challenge the older generation to stay adaptable, to stay connected to the current trends in order for them not to fall behind to the challenges that are currently shifting the way that we do things in this world. So I really see it as an opportunity to learn and leverage from each other's strengths. And also, we need to refine communication between the older generation and the younger generation. It's true that the older generation, for instance, might prefer face-to-face discussions. So they might value face-to-face discussions a bit more than our digital platforms. And the younger generation might prefer more informal platforms, informal communication, and that could create friction and misunderstandings. But when that happens, instead of trying to have one communication style dominate over the other, why not blend?
Yeah.
Right. So it's one of the things that we really encourage in our flagship program, the Annual Leadership Forum for Young Female Leaders, because there it's not just the older generation that sits down and shares lessons to our young women and tells them, this is what I have been through to get to where I am, to be the politician that I am today, to be the bank today. But it's also role swap in such a way that our young women moderate these sessions. They ask very pertinent questions to our speakers, and not only that, but there's a continuation then onto an actual mentorship program where they now engage one-on-one, where they can mutually from each other's skills. So really, it's all about leveraging each other's strengths and refining communication.
We'll speak about some of the new strengths and weaknesses that have come into the world of work and the organizations. Stay on the line, Divine. We need to take a short break and we'll come back and continue speaking about this. We're speaking cross-generational mentorship in today's In the Cubicle.
Africa. It's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la Double K,
or more of our forests have been destroyed.
Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land.
from Lagos to Cape Town,
Nairobi to Dakar,
we've got you covered
with the freshest news,
music.
and cultures.
So,
Turn up the volume.
feel the rhythm. Enjoy the conversation.
Channel Africa.
The African perspective.
Step into the heart of the day with Palesa and Benjamin.
We are in the cubicle and we're chatting to Divine Yamulamba, Stakeholder and Engagement Associate at the Amazon Leadership Initiative. Today chatting about cross-generational mentorship in the workplace. You mentioned new technologies and those have added a spanner in the works, Divine, when we speak about the world of work because, with the mentorship also coming in different forms, this has really tried to catapult. In fact, it has catapulted this cross-generational mentorship that before maybe was an option but now is a necessity because new technologies are taking over all industries. How has this really changed the face of cross-generational mentorship but also the importance of younger generations in our workplaces?
So how this has changed the mentorship landscape is that we see that there are more platforms through which mentorship can be done. So mentorship is no longer limited to face-to-face meetings anymore, but now young people have the opportunity to engage with the older generation by using technology, by using AI. We also have the opportunity to innovate our mentorship landscape using these digital tools that we have access to, by using videos on TikTok, Instagram lives. Really, there's a lot more opportunity for exposure for mentors, which can create some sort of disadvantage as well, because when you have access to too many mentors online, for instance, it can be very hard to really know what suits you, and this is where you need to now go deeper with the person that you are aspiring to become like, and engage with them and have a one-on-one relationship with them.
Yeah.
So even though we have access to all of these digital tools, it's really still important to have that face value interaction, because that really brings out the beauty of mentorship.
Of course. How do organizations effectively manage cross-generational mentorship without making one particular generation in the organization feel more important than the other? Because here's the thing, older generations have different values that they've worked under and different things and in things that they know that they can pass on. But younger generations are really at the headline of technology, and those are still the skills that older generations need to learn. So younger generations are also starting to feel more important in organizations because they now know things that older people in these organizations don't know anymore. And as the organization itself, how do you manage this so that you don't sort of uphold the importance of one generation over the other in the workplace, and not making them feel like, hey, you must listen to the young ones, they know all the new things that are coming in, or you must listen to the old ones, they still have all the values that you guys still need to learn in this organization?
So I think it's important to emphasize on mutual respect, mutual learning, and also building trust between the two parties. So, for instance, when dealing with the older generation, sometimes there can be a lot of classism, ageism, and sexism. And what I mean by that is, in terms of classism, there's this hierarchy type of mentality that, hey, we are the older generation, we've been here before you, we know better. And with ageism, we sometimes deal with this type of discrimination where, because you are much younger, they would prefer to interact with your mentor who is much older and who has been in the space for a long time than you, who is still gaining experience. And in terms of sexism, especially when you have a situation where the mentor is male and the mentee is female, that can also kind of tend to clash a little bit in terms of what their different values are and how they see the world. And how we can manage that is really come to an understanding that both the older generation and the younger generation can learn from each other. As I'd mentioned before, leverage from each other's strengths. So the older generation being exposed to this institutional memory that I spoke about can pass on this knowledge without making the younger generation feel like you are incompetent, because the older generation has an important role to play in infusing confidence in the younger generation. Now, with regards to the younger generation, it's also important for us to maintain respect when we engage with the older generation, because they have a certain level of wisdom that we are still trying to acquire with regards to our lived experiences. So what we can do is, while teaching them, we can teach them about the new digital spaces that artificial intelligence has made possible for everybody to use, but not in a way that diminishes their value as the older generation, but reminding them that their impact can upscale while using these digital tools. Yeah. So it's really a matter of mutual learning and mutual respect and building trust with one another.
All right, Divine, we have to let you go now, but tell us a little bit about where we can find out more about the Amazon Leadership Initiative and your latest program.
Amazing. So just a little bit more about our annual leadership forum for young female leaders. It's a platform that we have created for young female leaders. That's how we we call our young women who form part of our Pan-African network. So our young female leaders have an opportunity to engage with this older generation that we are now referring to. So women who are experts within the business leadership management space, the civic leadership management space, and the public leadership management space. And we've created a platform for them to interact through discussions, dialogues, and fireside chats. So really, the Annual Leadership Forum is an opportunity for generations to meet and to learn from one another on how to navigate the leadership space. And you can learn more about what we do through the forum on our various platforms. You can find us on Facebook, the Amazon Leadership Initiative, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. We're everywhere. We're all over. You can find us really anywhere on X, and keep up with our posts and more announcements to come with regards to our flagship program that we're super excited, because it actually happens to coincide with our 5th year anniversary, which we've this year. So we're really looking forward to a banger.
Fantastic, Divine. We have to let you go, but thank you for helping us on this one and a wonderful conversation with you on cross-generational mentoring. Thank you for joining us here on Channel Africa.
Thank you for having me.
That's Divine Nyamulamba, Stakeholder and Engagement Associate at the Amazon Leadership Initiative. Hey, do you think it's possible in the workplace, or do you feel like there's sometimes a little bit too much friction between the old and the young? Can we have a space in the workplace where the young and old can work together? Give